My name is Zeahlot Lopez, and my first name is Jewish, and my last name is Lopez Mexicana, thanks to Daddy. So I am Mexican first generation, and I have the privilege of being born in this country. And the reason I share that is because just like my clinician sister here, Jess, I'm going to share a personal story today in regards to working with Latinx. I will start with that every single day when I wake up, I have an intention. And I repeat over my passion and my mission that has been brought to me over and over as I do certain work with people. And the intention that I say in the morning is that abundance is my birthright. And this is included with all the work that I do. And from repeating that to myself every single morning, I have come up with this. My mission in life is to die much more healed than wounded. And my purpose is to provide the same opportunity for others to do the same, if they so choose, within my field and in my capacity. Today, my intention with this talk is to provide information and perhaps encouragement to better know how to serve Latinx individuals in providing mental health services to them. I will share this with you. In even using the term Latinx, a lot of people will ask me, well, what is that? That's something new, right? That's pop, that's modern. I want you all to take a look at your name tags, and there's this beautiful space for the pronoun of choice, right? She, her, he, him, they, them. It is a choice, it is freedom. And that is the same experience that is happening with Latinx. I will give you the definition, and then I will explain why it has been so controversial, but yet so powerful. Latinx is an inclusive term versus exclusive. For you see, I am a Spanish speaker, and in Espanol, there is feminine and masculine. For people, places, and things, you have an O or an A, which gives it that box. But with Latinx, it provides a non-binary option to be identified for us to have a place. And I love that. That's the good news. That's what's changing in the field. So, in starting, I'm going to start with the personal story. Here's the good, the bad, the ugly, here's everything. Here's me with my familia. And that's a very important concept in working with Latinx. And the fun fact here is someone has a real mustache here. Yeah, I'll let you guess who. The reason I share this with you is because much like my clinician sister, Jess, my experience in providing therapy to Latinx has very heavily been influenced by my own experience in therapy. This one is a shout out to Brene Brown. And Angela, I hear you, yes. This is in her authorship, in her research, and her bravery. I'm going to have the courage today and share with you all that I go to therapy every single week. I go for individual and I go for family therapy, and that has been a struggle. A struggle because I, as well as with Jess, have had the experience of my family telling me, well, that's for not us. That's for others. That's for white people. We don't go to therapy. We handle it at home. It has taken me 4 years in transparency with you all to bribe my mother to go to family therapy with me. Yeah. And here's the life-changing experience I had. As we all know, there are great benefits of providing therapy to someone in the room that may have the same level of melanin or the same understanding of cultural components. I will share with you that my therapist is a male, Jewish, and definitely has different taste in music. Yeah. Over the last 4 years, we have worked together every single week in my vulnerability and nakedness in the room of my person. And in experiencing that, I have found a solution to working with Latinx. Because you see, here's the facts. Me, I am a Latina, and I have melanin year-round. These are facts. And there's not enough of me or my colleagues doing the work that also look like me for a population that may be similar. There's not enough clinicians of color, this is the truth. Nationwide, it's about 16%. There's a greater need than there is the possibility of being served. I took a risk and I took a chance, and in that I found a solution. Because you see, even though we don't share the same ethnical identification or the language, I have felt seen, I have felt heard. This has been beyond healing to me. And in receiving this service, I have learned how to better provide it as well for the following reasons. The number one thing that I have learned from my amazing therapist is the key component of working with Latinx clients: openness. See, there's this thing they say, and you can agree or disagree, but they say that for something to come up truly authentically, it might be in the mind, in the language of origin. I didn't speak English until I was 5, until I went to school, and that was because my parents wanted to keep the culture and the language as much as they could. So my first introduction to it was in school. So there's many memories I have before the age of 5, and a lot of trauma that I endured during that time. And my therapist is so amazing and so open and just open to letting me resolve that. He allows me to say it in my language of origin when I had that trauma occur. And then he asks the most beautiful question. He says, what about that for you is important for me to know? That alone. I cried because it was so powerful. That was the solution I was looking for. And I speak here among all my colleagues, regardless of the beautiful, fair porcelain skin you have, or the beautiful abundance of melanin, it does not matter. Your willingness to serve a population and your openness to stay curious and out of judgment is the very beginning part of this work. You see, in school, it's true, there's this dynamic of, well, how do we work with somebody across from us that is bearing their soul and sharing when they don't look like us, when they don't identify as the same? Here is where we begin. We begin with that as well as in education. There are terms, very shortly, I would like to share with you. One is Latinidad. According to Wikipedia, right, the best dictionary, Latinidad is a Spanish language term that refers to the various attributes shared by Latin American people and their descendants without reducing those similarities to any single essential trait. Here's something a lot of people don't know. Any one of us in here could easily be Latinx. Any one of us. Because Latinos come in all different colors, beautiful shades. It literally looks like just from fair to just an abundance of melanin. It's beautiful. And that is an aspect that is rarely shared. So anyone really, without assumptions, could be that. So it's always important to ask, right? Here's the good, the bad, the ugly. The challenges in working with Latinx is the family, hence the photo. Here we're celebrating my father's birthday, but it's not always fun and games, right? So it's important to understand, how does your client that identifies a Latinx take family? Is it important to them, and to what aspect? To what in the Western world might be enmeshment, might be just the right amount of up each other's business for them. So asking them, what feels right to you on the scale of independence versus enmeshment, right? In working in family systems. Secondly, the stigma of receiving and giving therapy. So here's something. My therapist knew from the very beginning when I walked in that I was a therapist, because originally I started going to him when I failed the LMFT exam for the first time. He knew I was a therapist, and he was very open with me, and he said, you know, I'm a little scared because you know how it works in the room. And yet, he asked me great questions. He says, what is it like for you to come into my office? Key important question number 2, right? He asked me about the stigma. And I would speak about vergüenza, the shame, and I would say it in Spanish, and he wouldn't flinch. He was great. He would ask me, tell me more about that, right? Being open. The collectivism, the aspect that for Latinx, collectivism is a norm, and for the Western society, for many cultures, independence is praised. It's a given. Not necessarily with the Latinx population. Collectivism in the family might be, well, what they praise versus don't. So just asking, where do you lie on that? Do you prefer more independence or collectivism? What comes best for you? Lastly, the language barrier. There are a lot of clients that are monolingual that I see, but here's another one. I always ask, what is preferable for you? How do you like to share your feelings, thoughts, and your memories? A lot of my clients actually like to do Spanglish. They'll just switch with me from Spanish to English and whatever comes to them. And that is what makes them feel comfortable. Not that I'm able to hear it, but that I asked. It's asking the right questions. And as well, getting the data from that, asking, does this help? Those are the challenges. And like my sister clinician just said, the solutions, they're minimal, but they're there. Here are some of the gifts of working with Latinx. Here are the fulfilling parts of it, the humor. I have to tell you, one of the best things I ever look for is humor within contact to contact with human. Latinx will have you roll in from here to Sunday, I promise you. That is one of the best, especially when they share about their family. It's more of, tell me more. And what does that do for you? Does that bring you joy? Does that bring you happiness? I'd like to share as well that in sitting in class one day, I realized that literature doesn't give us much. There's not much research out there. So what can we do about that, right? As many of our colleagues have said earlier, taking data. Who in here works with Latinx presently, within their practice, within their agency? I love it. How many of you are asking, what makes you come back? What makes you feel heard? What makes you feel seen? Simply on a questionnaire, yes. And that is important. Every 3 to 6 months I ask, not just because I am Latina, does that mean that I am effective? And I learned that actually from last year's conference. I started implementing that into my practice. That is a great solution. Here's another one. Colleagues, speaking with one another, networking as we do here. During the conference, I was approached by a colleague, and she asked me, she goes, Z, I'm noticing something in my practice. I'm noticing an increase in Latinos calling for services. Isn't that weird? And I loved it. I was so taken back, and my answer to that is, I'm so excited for that, and no, I'm not surprised. Because it's people like us, everyone here in the room, on advocating for mental health, what it means and how it helps. It's taken me a very long time to share openly that I go to therapy every single week, and for family, every other, for my mama drama. And I know some people got it, right? Because if I am healthy, I can properly serve clients. If I'm taken care of, then I can fully be there for them. That's another solution. Just really being aware of what's my stuff and how can I be there for them, regardless if we match them or not, melanin-wise. Here's the good news. Latinos are the largest part minority in the United States currently. That may change over time, but it's good to know. There is progression and advancement in the field. The term Latinx alone is showing progression. It's showing modernity, and it's also showing that we are progressing as a society to be inclusive versus exclusive. That's showing you that it's going somewhere. So as long as we all do the work and contribute to that, there's another solution in serving the population. Because of course there will always be challenges. But if we look at the challenges, we're not asking what is going well. There is one of the last questions I ask on my questionnaire. Among the following, what is going well? And if it's not listed here, please share. That way I learn, what do I do more of? I hope you guys laugh with me, so here it goes. You know the number one thing they put on the questionnaire under other when I ask what is going well? The touch of culture I have in my office, which is the Mexican candy right by the door. And they always are excited for it. I ask them, what was the best part of session? I always check in, right? And they say, the candy, but we're not there yet, right? With Latinos sometimes, they have an older child that can sit, during session. And that's important too. I think a very highly important component working with Latinx is encouraging the use of family in it. I know that I went through family systems at Phillips Institute, and one of my best mentors and professors that I paid to be supervised for. So I paid to work for free to learn this by this man, by Jose Luis Flores. And if any of you know him, he is the godfather of family therapy. He is amazing. He taught me this, and it stood with me forever, and it still stays with me. Dentro cada persona hay una familia. Within every person there is a family. When I see that person individually on the couch, I don't just see them. I have their grandma, their tia, their babies. I have great-great auntie and bisabuela right on the side. I keep this in mind every single time I work with anyone, and I ask them, is this important to you? Who is in here who we haven't referenced yet? And these are all solutions. These are things that I've been asking over the years, what is going well? And humbly I can say that some days I stumble, I really do, but it's asking these really tough questions and being vulnerable enough to say, how can I make this right? These are the solutions to working with Latinx. and I hope the openness helps. And in closing today, I'm going to share with you that if you as well are receiving mental health services within any capacity, please share your story. Share who you're getting these great services from so others can be encouraged to do so as well and take care of themselves. Thank you for your time.